today's the 5th of August, which means that next week is going to be the 9th of August. And for Singapore, that means a very special day. 9th of August is Singapore's National Day. Some may say Independence Day. And that means for about the last 2 to 3 weeks, in terms of preparations, the city's been going nuts. You can see banners everywhere. There are flags on every balcony. You've got posters that tell you to come to the National Day Parade, things like this. So there's a very, very strong sense of national identity here. But what I wanted to do is have a bit of a look into what is Singapore National Day, or some might call it, what is Singapore Day? But first, what is Singapore? Singapore is an island nation city-state on the southern tip of the Malaysian peninsula in Southeast Asia. It has a GDP of nearly $350 billion, which is roughly equivalent to its big sisters, Malaysia, a country over 5 times the size in terms of population, never mind actual landmass. Ethnically, Singapore is made up of 74% Chinese, 13% Malay, 9% Indian, and 3% other, which explains why Singapore speaks Mandarin, Malay, Tamil, and of course, English. And it has one of the best airports in the world. So what is Singapore National Day all about? Well, like any national day, it's about the celebration of its independence. It's the 9th of August, 1965. Singapore has just declared independence from Malaysia. How did this come to be? Well, without going into too much detail or political judgment here, a bunch of Chinese moved onto the island and then thought they should be self-governing since Malay was no longer the majority on the island. Singapore National Day, like any other National Independence Day or equivalent thereof, is a celebration of one's freedom from previous oppression, real or otherwise. It's about celebrating who you are as a people, what makes you Singaporean. Part of this identity is of course its military. Every male Singaporean is required by law to complete at least 2 years of military service, after which, depending on their health classification, they're required to complete an additional 3-week refresher training every single year for a total of another 10 years, and in some cases even up to 20 years. Given this strong stance on obligated military participation, it's no surprise that the military takes a major role in the day's celebrations. The actual celebrations on the day are more like one giant theater piece, organized by the military. Soldiers, tanks, and jets seem to be the main characters, with a few musical performances thrown in throughout the day. Prominent political figures, such as those that played a key role in Singapore's independence, also make an appearance. Absolutely everything is designed to reinforce the main message. Singapore is great, and it's great to be Singaporean. Oh, and that music?
How many times have you heard them say the future is uncertain and everything must change?
Yeah, that's an official theme song for Singapore's National Day, which apparently is different every year. But what do actual Singaporeans think about it? I mean, nationalism is all well and good, but what do the people actually really think about it? So I went ahead and asked a few people.
My uncle used to bring us to the parade. Then okay, quite fun. For me, it's a little bit boring sometimes because they do the military thing. Then the tank come out, then the plane okay, playing noisy, but nice to see right?
Well, I mean, personally, I know that it's a commemorative of our, 50, 60 year history.
Then the firework, come the evening time, 7 o'clock, the sun setting, then they will come out the firework. But then the problem is you sit in the hot sun, then they give you the fun pack. Everybody loves the fun pack because Singaporeans love free gift.
For me, it's just like a great public holiday. I mean, it's nice, you see a bunch of fireworks.
As I grow older, I realize honestly, it's no meaning to me.
I'm not, like I said before, I'm not, overly ecstatic. It's another day, I guess. It's cool. It doesn't really touch me on a personal, deep level. There are other Singaporeans, especially of the older generation, who may feel, a lot stronger. I'm grateful to be Singaporean.
I understand that the government always emphasize and tell us that, Singapore very good racial harmony. I understand why because given our past, our history is that a lot of struggle between the races. So it's important to project the image that all the races in Singapore live harmoniously together. But the truth is, the Chinese got money. This is the ugly truth. Indian Malay not so much status. A lot of Indians, they make it they do well in the law industry, do well in medicine. Malays not so much. Because of all these differences, it's important to have this idea of unity. Whether it's real or not is secondary. So that's what National Day for me is about. It's for this political agenda. I'm not saying that the agenda is good or the agenda is bad, right? I'm not saying whether it's true or false, because truth relative But in terms of objectivism, this is what National Day is for, is to project the image. And for everybody wear red and white.
It's really easy to get caught up in another country's national celebrations. For the most part, I don't really mind. It's a fun thing to do to involve you in. Apart from the US one, that one's a bit too hostile for my taste. It's not so much about we're great, it's more about we're better than everyone else. But I digress. Singapore has a very strong sense of national identity, and that's no accident. The government does a lot to enshrine this from a very early age. Some may say this is with the ultimate goal to indoctrinate them so that they don't question the government. After all, it's the only country in the world that has had a single-party government for nearly 53 years now without actually being a communist state. Others may argue it's vital for smaller nations such as Singapore to maintain a strong sense of nationalist pride. The whole military thing does seem a little communist or authoritarian, but let's be honest, Singapore isn't going to invade any country anytime soon, and they're not going to get involved in any major conflicts either. On the other hand, it's not really a great message for other countries to have a nation such as Singapore to be so strongly nationalist and have this strong display of military and still be a country that succeeds in essence. Singapore is an extremely wealthy country.
To all my fellow Singaporeans, and remember, government say better do .
Can you hear that? That's the jets practicing. They've been practicing this ever since Trump came here. Holy shit, those maneuvers look sick.